Hello, welcome to Science and Spirituality, where I will pick up one question and answer it by asking five questions. Okay, so today's question is, why is there poverty and suffering in the world? First, let us consider what is wealth. Now, to understand wealth, let me first acknowledge poverty and deprivation. So, a few years ago, I was talking to a friend, and she was working with some kids in Africa, in Uganda, and she told me a story of how once a kid actually vomited and was so hungry that the kid took the rice from the vomit and ate it again, and it really made me realize from her experience in Uganda about how deep the poverty and deprivation is. So it's real, and there is scarcity in the world, and there is a science to scarcity, which is economics. So some things are a zero sum game. Sometimes doing something means not doing something else. So that's real. But true wealth comes from knowing yourself, from realizing abundance and connection to the infinite. So let's leave that at there for now. The second question, what is real? So suffering is real. When you experience suffering, you know that. But when you go a layer deeper and ask yourself, who is suffering? Who is talking? Who is listening? That is you. And recognizing that is starting to experience the realest thing there is, which is the self. Years ago, I heard a song by Pink Floyd called Arnold Lane, and there's a line in that song where he says, "It takes two to know," which I could really connect to, because sometimes you feel something, experience something, and you need it validated that, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And sometimes it's very strong urge to not be the only one. But certainty, knowledge from certainty comes from knowing oneself. And that is the source of true clarity. So the third question, how can one be rich? So there's a book I read which is 120 years old. Somewhere in 1902, Napoleon Hill was encountered by Andrew Carnegie. Anyway, the book is called Think and Grow Rich. And in this book, Napoleon Hill talks about how his second son, I think, was born deaf, and through positive thinking and positive action, affirmative, proactive action, he and his wife kept talking to his child as if the child would hear, and the child grew up to get 65% of his hearing, and later got a device that was made, and finally he could hear 100%. So the point I'm trying to make is that riches and wealth come from a place within that creates thought and action. It's Tony Robbins talked about this in an interview 40 years ago about how it's a myth that success is based on external factors. It's an internal game, and the creation of an environment around you is often based on how one feels, how you feel, and that is the source of richness and wealth. So the fourth question, how can you be comfortable? There's a joke that me and my friends used to share when I was in Delhi, that it's better to laugh on a cycle than cry in a BMW, my friends would say. And I would be like, if you're going to cry anyway, it's better to cry in a BMW than cry in a cycle. But jokes apart, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And true comfort comes from knowing and being oneself. And this doesn't necessarily mean expressing oneself. There's a story I heard about from Hero with a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell, where he talks about the three stages of realizing oneself, where there is disconnection, realization, and then there's a choice to come and reconnect and share what you have learned, or keep the knowledge for yourself, which is again up to each and one own. But I am instinctively inclined to share. The last question that I want to drive home: why do you want to become rich? So, if you can probably answer this question, you'll probably get to where you want to be, because the why is what fuels thought and action. And if that question can't be answered clearly, or at least subconsciously, it's probably because one wants to become rich or whatever for someone else. This often happens that I want something just because I want someone else to look at me in a certain way. So that's a losing game, because when you get there, the person won't look at you how you thought the person would have looked at you, and you feel lost. So ask yourself why you want to achieve what you want to achieve, and that comes from first knowing what is it you want to achieve. Happy day.